Vanessa Zamora here. We are at the Social Media Breakfast Austin edition, and today we're going to be hearing what is coming in the field of social media for 2010. A very hot topic. There is a huge crowd behind me getting ready to start here in just a few minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and turn the camera off for a bit while I listen to our presenters, and then after I'll try to catch up with some and get some comments. See you in a bit. Brian, great event.
Hey, thanks, Vanessa. It was. I thought it went really well. It was packed. I think this is the most people we've had for a single event, but I thought it went really well.
So, what did you think about what people shared on their predictions? Any that stood out or that you agreed with or maybe disagreed with?
Well, one that I sort of mentioned, and by the way, I should say that I had seen the predictions ahead of time. I asked them to send it in, so because we're gonna package that out as a sort of a downloadable PDF for folks. But what I mentioned there at the end is sort of my parting shot, which is that a lot of this, I think, does have to come back. Lisa Goddard said this in her talk on nonprofits. We have to remember the clarity of communications in all this, and I think it is, and I'm certainly guilty of getting caught up in the technology part of it because I think that's fascinating. But to figure out really how the technology comes back to, meeting your business goals and objectives, and so I think we're going to see more of that, and we heard that from different speakers. That there's been a lot of experimentation. There's been sort of putting processes in place. 2010 is really about using the tools, using the technologies to drive business. The other, I really thought what Tim Hayden said was interesting around mobile, and I don't think that is as ready to go mainstream yet because it is a little more cutting edge, and businesses are still figuring that out. So I think we're going to see a ton of experimentation, a ton of scrambling, as almost everyone here in this country is going to get a smartphone into their hands, and it just creates all different kinds of opportunities.
So I think my big prediction for 2010 is enterprise social software, or the social media Pangea, as I like to call it. Because right now internally there are a bunch of different departments in charge of collaboration. You have your IT department that's really focused on how employees communicate and collaborate through things like internal wikis. You have your product and support teams that focus more on your branded external communities. And then you have folks in the marketing and PR departments that care more about the conversations happening off of the corporate website on things like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And what I think the prediction for 2010 is enterprise social software, meaning that all of these conversations will be now held on one platform and collaborated on. So for example, if someone mentions your brand on a blog, that will automatically get placed on an internal wiki where the right spokespeople can interact with it and determine the best response, and then post a response that'll show up not only on that blog but also on your branded community. Yeah, I think overall everybody had some really, really great things. I really like to hear more in the mobile space when people were talking about mobile. For B2B, it's really hard to take huge corporate websites, especially those like the ones at National Instruments where we have lots and lots and lots of technical content, and squeeze that all into a mobile app. So I'd like to see more in 2010. They mentioned about mobile standardizations, since iPhone development is different than the BlackBerry, which is different than the Droid. I also really liked all of the personal side of me, really liked all of the online fundraising and really evolving social media to help do better cause marketing.
You specifically spoke on nonprofits. If you could share with us briefly, not in 3 minutes, but a little less, what you shared, and then maybe what your thoughts were on what the rest of the presenters here shared.
I think it's definitely a back to basics for nonprofits, making sure that we are very, very focused on our missions and that we're using that mission to communicate to the community, as well as making sure the community understands how we actually directly affect their world and how we make their place a better, make their world a better place to live in. I think it's also really important that we really look at how multiple people are affected by our work. So not only the ones that we do direct service to, but also the families, their friends, the people that they might know who might be affected by the type of work we do. At the Capital Area Food Bank, we clearly work with hunger and people who are food insecure. And it's really important that we show those people to make sure that they understand that the face of hunger in Texas is the face of Texas.